In 1963, Jack Hannigan was brought in from Dow Corning to become president of Brunswick. Kiefer and Hannigan never did see eye to eye on anything, and by 1966, Hannigan was trying to transition Kiefer out of the company. On January 31, 1970, Kiefer officially resigned from Brunswick, and soon thereafter, Brooks Abernathy became president of Kiefer Mercury, and Jack Reichert took over for Armand Hauser as vice president in charge of marketing. In February of 1970, Carl Kiefer announced that he would begin his Aeromarine Motors venture. Kiefer Aeromarine began as a real estate company in 1964, but by now had developed into a mechanical laboratory and plant located on the Ledge in Pebbles, Wisconsin, in the town of Tachita. Brunswick would appoint the new company as a consultant for research into marine propulsion and development of snowmobiles. It was also in 1971 that Mercury opened its first European plant in Belgium. In 1972, Jack Reichert was named president of Mercury Marine after Brooks Abernathy became the COO of Brunswick. In 1974, Mercury, in a joint venture, created Mariner, a new line of outboard motors for foreign markets. The name Mariner was used to inspire an image different from that of the high performance of Mercury, and instead one of the ancient mariner portraying reliability and durability. First introduced in Australia and Asia, Mariner would eventually come home to America. With Mariner's heavy-duty design, it would earn its reputation as better in the long run. Throughout the 70s, racing came to the fore. How do you prove marine products work? Race them until they fail or beat the other guy. Pushing engines farther, longer, and faster. Mercury did just that. The proof is in the performance improvements that come from being number one. Mercury's zeal for racing started back in '47 when an owner of a 10-horse Mercury Lightning entered the Albany to New York marathon race and handily won it. By 1948, Kiefer successfully lobbied the American Powerboat Association to take official recognition of stock outboard racing, and it was that same year that Mercury took the first 5 places in its class in the Albany to New York race. 20 years later, Kiefer Mercury was dominating the world of racing, winning 93 places out of a possible 113 races in 1967. In 1971, Dr. Robert Magoon won 6 first-place finishes driving the Kiefer Aeromarine 1. Kiefer and Magoon were declared APBA U.S. National Offshore Racing Champions. Mercury's high-performance division was officially formed to promote the company's presence in racing in 1973. In 1974, Stillwater, Oklahoma would become home to Merc Cruiser. The plant officially opened in 1975, and in just 10 years, the 1 millionth Merc Cruiser engine came off the assembly line. Throughout the 70s, the Merc Cruiser line not only grew more powerful, but also became quieter and more environmentally conscious. To date, Merc Cruiser has produced more than 2.5 million engines. Jack Reichert left Mercury in 1977 to become COO of Brunswick, and that's when Charlie Alexander was named president of Mercury. In 1976, Mercury introduced the Black Max, touted as the meanest, toughest, most beautiful machine Mercury ever built. With the new decade, the 80s, came a changing world, a recession, an energy crisis, the threat of bans on weekend boating, and growing international competition. The core of the problem for Mercury was to be cost competitive worldwide and to meet head-on the challenge of the quality of the new competition. A new manufacturing plant was opened in Juarez, Mexico, and Mercury stopped sponsoring racing teams. In 1983, the Federal Trade Commission put an end to a joint venture with Yamaha begun in 1972. This after Mercury had helped establish Yamaha's reputation in the U.S. It was on October 5, 1983, that Elmer Carl Kiefer died from complications from lymphoma. Kiefer once said, "Wherever I'm going, heaven or hell, I do hope they have an engineering department."